Meeting call to order. Roll call.
Mr. Alvaro.
Present.
Ms. Delano. Mr. Costa.
Present.
Ms. Coffinger.
Here.
Mr. Lombardi.
Here.
Mr. Luna.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan. Vice President Dunn.
Here.
President Gomez.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the New Milford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Borough Hall and the New Milford Public Library. Notices have been sent to the Record and the Twin Borough News. The board announces that under its long-standing policy, it will not discuss in public any comments made by members of the public concerning individual staff members. At this time, please be advised that all cell phones and electronic devices are to be turned off. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. Before coming to the board, the chain of command should be followed. There are two portions of the meeting reserved for comments from the public. The first at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second at the end of the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments will be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Due to confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey, members of the public are asked to not speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. Committee of the whole. Oh, I figured, okay, fine. I'll do that. Okay, now we're going to have a special presentation from the REACH program.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. We are here today. We're very lucky to have some students from first grade through fifth grade from Berkeley Street School and BF Kids, and we have the REACH teachers who have led this work all year here tonight to showcase the work that we've done. So Mrs. Oliverio and Mrs. Anton will be talking about kindergarten and first grade. Mrs. Giantino and Mrs. Major will be talking about 2-3, second and third grade modules, and Ms. Riss and Mrs. Andrews will be talking about the fourth and fifth grade modules. So we thought it would be, great to have the students themselves talk about their experience and what they've been learning. So at this time, I'm just going to turn this over.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mrs. Oliveiro. I'm the library media specialist at Berkeley and Gibbs, and I've been teaching REACH, I believe, for 6 years now. K-1 REACH for about 6 years. So what REACH stands for is Reaching Excellence Through Academic Challenge, and we're going to discuss the projects that K-1 worked on so far. So we always start out with the growth mindset. So it's, we read them a story about perseverance because it kind of sets a tone for the rest of the projects that we do. Because we try to teach them that we're not giving up. We're going to keep trying even though it doesn't come out right. So we keep trying and we perfect it as much as we can and we improve it. Then we went to the paper chain, and that's engineering design, where the students all created their own paper chains. We gave them one sheet of construction paper, and they had to decide which way to cut the strips and which one got the longest chain. So then we measured, we did measurement. The spinning top, which Jonathan's going to demonstrate in a minute, and that's physics. We did airplanes where we tested a few different types of paper airplanes, and we worked on forces of flight. And you're done with paper chair. I'm almost done. I'll be done on Tuesday. So we're going to be demoing that today, and that's also engineering design. And our last, close to our last project, we're doing the bird feeder. Either the bird feeder, yeah. And these are just some photos that was the paper chain, the spinning tops where we tested on all different surfaces. We did the measuring and
This is the paper chair.
the paper chair. Perfect. All right, so I have Jonathan here. Jonathan, stand up. So what grade are you in? First grade. Whose class? In what school? Berkeley. Okay, so Jonathan created his own spinning top. We used recycled construction paper. He designed his little spinner, and we put a penny in it. And now you're going to test it on the table, and then. Okay. Go ahead. So now you can explain.
When you spin the top, it spins fast, but then starts to get wobbly because of the friction working. It slows down and eventually stops due to gravity pulling it down.
Okay, so let's try on the rug. So which one spun longer? On the table. You want to try on that surface? On the floor? Let's see. So that's one pretty long as well, right? So flat surfaces work better, right? Because it's uneven and it's causing that friction, so it's slowing down faster, right? All right, good job.
Hi, I'm Miss Anton. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Gibbs School. And we have my friend David Milford. This is his second year in Reach. This is actually my first year teaching Reach, so it's been great. So David is going to show 2 paper chairs that he put together. And the goal was to see if the stuffed animals can hold on a taller chair and a smaller, shorter chair. There we go. So David, do you want to share with them what you did to make the chairs and the stuffed animals stand up?
Hi, my name is David. This is my second year of Reach. This is my favorite challenge. I made the paper chair steady because I put lots of tape around it and staples because then it would fall off the paper so it would stick more easily and stay up.
Great. Thank you.
Second and third grade.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Major. I'm a teacher at the Gibbs School. I am currently teaching first grade and the Reach program. I think I've done Reach for probably upwards of 10 years. I don't know. I lose track. And I teach the second and third grade at Gibbs.
I'm Mrs. Genentino. I teach second and third grade at Berkeley. This is a really exciting year. I just wanted to first thank Mr. Glasso and Ms. Odaska for the program, and special thanks to Dr. Chrysomalis. She leads us with excitement all the time and lets us put our projects all over the building and gets excited over everything we do. And Ms. Torrey, thank you for supporting Gibbs. And behind the scenes, Ms. Polacastra has really been instrumental in Reach. She helps us get all of our projects and our materials, so a big thank you to her also for keeping our program going. It's really special to have the children in the morning, and thank you to the parents for getting them there every morning. I know mornings are crazy, so it's really important that they're there and they're part of this. It's a lot of fun, and they really get to challenge themselves and build together and work together. So we did, our first module was diving into the past. We went to ancient Egypt, and I brought Adam with me, and it was pretty cool because his dad also went to Egypt and brought us back bookmarks. So it worked out perfectly with his trip. So it was even more interesting and fun for us to get that piece, that school and home connection there. So we transformed Barbies. We brought Barbies and we mummified them. And that was lots of fun. Very messy for Ms. Andrews and I at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it was a lot of fun. We made some reliefs, some ancient Egyptian reliefs. And
Over at Gibbs, we transformed ourselves into pharaohs. So we took some black and white photos and headshots. We learned a little bit about the patterns and colors that were used in Egyptian art. And we tried to replicate that in our own patterns using pastels and pencils. And you can see the kids with their own pictures. And they really loved them, and they were like larger than life. They were really cool. That actually brought, my student here is actually on my wall. So, and she'll be talking in just a minute. We have a second slide.
Module 2, we went into present day and we talked about machines. We made environments, like big, huge, not like tiny dioramas that we remember with shoe boxes. We made like full communities. And they took solar energy and they researched it and they used different materials to create solar panels and show how energy can help, run a community. So we did urban, suburban, and rural communities. That was another really cool thing. They brought in a lot of recyclable materials and worked together in small groups. And then we moved to Botley.
And Botley was a new program we were learning this year. It's actually a coding robot. Really cool, by the way, if any of you have kids at home that love coding. And the kids learn to do coding via like push button on like a keypad. So you can see in the one picture here. So they had to program their code, and there are tiles that they would lay on the floor, and they could make Botley go through an obstacle course. So there's flags, there were like things achieved. They had to do certain challenges, teaching Botley to move forwards, backwards, make a spin, 380, 90 degrees. And then at the end, they kind of created their own paths for Botley. Oops, we lost our connection. You guys are still up, right? Oh, did you, maybe it touched your shirt? Is there a button over there? It's okay. Go ahead. We're back. Yep. And the students really enjoyed learning how to code, which is really neat, and they can kind of explore that. And as they get older, there are a lot of coding programs that they can get into if they tend to love code, which is a great thing to know. I think we have to look one more too. Or is that the end of ours? That's the end of ours. Okay. We want to have that? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Adam, and I am in 2nd grade at Berkeley. My favorite part of Reach was coding with Botley the robot. It was fun to see it move and how cool it was able to move objects. Thank you for buying us the robots.
Thank you. So this is Olivia Blake. Olivia is in 3rd grade, and she is one of the students that went on a field trip with us this year. It was the first time that New Milford's Reach program went to what's called the Amazing Race. And the Amazing Race is a convocation held in Paramus at their middle school, I think middle school, elementary? Parkway School. Yeah. And they transformed their cafetorium into this incredible international amazing race. And basically every district comes and brings a country, and they have to have academic or STEM challenges for students to do at their table. And it was every like 8 minutes we moved or something like that.
12 minutes we moved.
Yeah, so they bring a bell, and you were put into groups, so that was students from other schools all around Bergen County, other G&T programs. And they traveled to each different country every 12 minutes. We had lunch there, did some more, and then we came back in the end of the day. So
And Milford, we represented India, so we highlighted the henna and we highlighted
Rangoli, yeah, which is decorating the ground with petals and seeds. We had a really cool station. I think we decided ours was one of the best, right? Yes, ours was one of the best. And thanks to a family in New Milford, we actually had some real things that they brought back from India, which was really cool. But Olivia wanted to share some of her favorite countries she visited and maybe some of the favorite activities that we did that day.
One of my favorite activities was in Japan, where you learned how to make origami, like flowers, and after you're done making like origami flowers, you're able to make different shapes out of it.
Awesome. If you look at that board, was there another country you remember? We were talking about this before.
Ireland.
Ireland. Do you want to tell them what you did?
Ireland, because we got clay and we colored it with marker, and then we were able to make it like the flag, clovers and coins.
Yeah, so the schools really did come out with some amazing activities. It was everything from STEM to art to hieroglyphics to everything. In the Egyptian table, we were pretty expert, right? We had done that whole module, so we felt pretty confident there. But it was a great trip, and we really hope we can go again. Definitely positive, definitely a lot of fun, and we were glad to be part of it. So thank you. Good job, Lisa.
I'm Miss Andrews. I teach 4th grade at Berkeley Berkeley Street School. This is my first year teaching Reach for both 4th and 5th grade teachers. Mrs. Giantino and I work pretty closely with both the 2nd and 3rd and the 4th grade groups at Berkeley, so I can kind of speak to some of the slides and pictures that they just said. But the field trip was so much fun. I believe we had over 11 school districts in Bergen County there. And what was really great is the students were assigned a specific group to join. So it wasn't all of New Milford in one group. So we had Hallward, Norwood, Northville. So it was so good to see the students collaborate with new students and new schools and share ideas and learn from one another. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is Chris. I'm from VF Gibbs School. I've been teaching Reach for 10 plus years or more, right? Same as Lee. I mean, same as Miss Major. I love teaching Reach in the mornings, even though it's early in the morning. The kids get really creative. I love to kind of just let them kind of guide the learning and let them go, and they really get creative and into it. And we did some really nice modules this year. We kind of planned and matched up 3rd and 4th together with Berkeley, and we did Ancient Egypt, and then we did his solar project and coding with Botley, and now we're working on Shark Tank with the kids, where they have to create a product and present it.
Can you actually go back a few slides? I'm sorry for the pictures. A couple more. This one. Oh, that was it. So this is when the students worked on their ancient release, and they used model magic clay. And then when was the last class? Sorry, I'm jumping you in. What did we do after you made your own patterns and designs?
We painted them with different colors, but since the Egyptians had only like 2 colors, and mainly silver and gold, we kind of just did those colors. So yeah.
Yes. Didn't make them hot pink or yellow. All right, you can go back. Sorry. Thank you.
You can go, and then one more last. So this is this is the ancient Egyptian reliefs that we created. And these are cartouches that you see up in the background where they wrote their deeds and hieroglyphics. We also mummified some apples.
Yep. To kick off our unit, each of the Reach students created, it turned into their own pharaoh and got to decorate that. And then the next project was they researched hieroglyphics and they created their own sentence or question. And we posted these on a bulletin board in the hallway with the hieroglyphic decoder. So all the students in Berkeley Street School could try and decode those phrases that their friends created together. That's it. That's a field trip. All right, so this is Miss, what's your name?
Clara.
And you are in what grade?
I'm in 5th grade
At
Berkeley.
And how many years have you been in Reach?
I've been in Reach for 2 years because I started since 3rd grade and now I'm
Very nice. She's been in Reach longer than I have. And what has been your favorite part of Reach this year?
My favorite part of Reach was the solar energy communities, because we got to be very creative and we had boxes and egg cartons and we made them into different buildings, and then we used foil to represent the solar panels.
And what was the other part of the unit? You said your other favorite part?
My other favorite part was the Botley 2.0, because when we did that we had to code it, and it was very hard at first, but it was super fun at the end because we got to code it, and like we had like those like different modes, like the line mode. So if we flipped the boards, then there'd be like a line, and then you would follow them. So
Persevere. Yeah. Very good.
Okay, Chris, want to stand up? I have Blake and Rebecca. Blake, you want to go first and kind of introduce yourself and then share?
I'm Blake. I've been in Reach for 3 years, and I started in 1st grade. And in Reach, I learned about ancient Egypt, which I thought was cool because I wouldn't have learned about that in my regular 4th grade. I also learned how to code robots, which I thought was exciting because I don't usually get to use robots. And last, we got to do Shark Tank, which is cool because it lets us create our own product.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. It's my 2nd year at Reach this year. My favorite project was Botley 2.0 because we got to code him, and he had a lot of special commands, and he had different modes, and he could also light up with his eyes. It was very fun.
And we even created relay races, right, at the end, where we kind of race each other to see who could get through the relay the fastest.
Well, thank you so much.
So that's it, Ms. Balcastro, that's it?
Yes.
All right. So thank you first, Ms. Odassa, the principals, all in attendance here tonight. Thank you for coming out and supporting everything. I appreciate seeing you here. Ms. Balcastro, thank you for bringing this to my attention and saying, listen, we'd really like to present this. And I'm learning about New Milford, and so this is great for me to see. And there's so many little nuances to the academic program that, to be honest, the board isn't privy to, the parents aren't privy to, but it doesn't mean they're not happening every single day or every single week. So I think these presentations are really, really important. So the teachers, thank you for being passionate. You're here tonight on your own accord, and you know, it's clear you have a passion for it, and all I'd ask is that you continue to just be passionate about it and think outside the box and take risks and have fun, because if you're having fun, the kids are going to have fun. To the parents, I know it's early. Our REACH program, our Gifted and Talented program, is in the morning. Listen, as you get older, we all have to wake up early, right? And at some point, I'm going through this now, like, I want to sleep late and I can't because I've woken up early too many times. So that goes into what I want to tell the students. You're clearly all smart, right? You're intelligent. If you don't have what the teachers talked about, that perseverance, or I like to call grit, which is like a chip on your shoulder perseverance, you're not going to reach the potential that you want to. So waking up early when you're tired and going to the REACH program, that's part of perseverance and grit too, right? I learned about the coding from you, right? And you said it was hard at first, right? But at the end, it was really, really fun. That's perseverance and grit. So if you take that and just continue with that in your life, there's no doubt you will be successful. But if you take away one of those elements, you'll be all right. But if you have all those elements, you're going to be great. So continue to echo that, teachers, parents, echo that, please. The perseverance and the grit. Life is not meant to be easy. It's going to get harder. So please just echo that. And I thank you all for coming, students. You're so knowledgeable and intelligent, way beyond where we were when they were kids. And I'm so excited to see how your generation uses this. Okay? So just keep up the great work. So thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break so you guys can, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting. Ms. Oliveira, if you could just show me the Okay. Recommended action, committee of the whole, I seek the, that's not?
No, that's a draft, but we're not super.
Oh, okay. Superintendent of schools, Peter Galasso, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. A couple of things I'd like to discuss right off the bat. We have the approval of the March 2025 HIV report. So at New Milford High School, there were 0 HIV 338 forms submitted. That is wonderful. At DEO, there were 3 HIV 338 forms submitted. 3 HIVs were investigated by the ABS. All allegations of HIV were unfounded as they did not meet the criteria for HIV in one or more areas. At Berkeley, there were also 3 HIV 338 forms submitted. All 3 HIVs were investigated by the ABS and all allegations were unfounded. And Gibbs, there was 1 HIV 338 form submitted. And due to principal determination, this allegation was handled as a code of conduct. As far as the suspension report, to be honest, a lot of suspensions in March. We needed the April vacation to kind of cool down a little bit, and that's a real thing. So I'd like to approve the March suspension report. New Milford High School had 6 students who were suspended for a total of 17.5 days. 1 student served 1 day of in-school suspension. 3 students each served 3 days of out-of-school suspension. 1 student served 1.5 days of out-of-school suspension, and 1 student served 2 days of in-school suspension and 4 days of out-of-school suspension. At DEO, there were 19 students suspended for a total of 20 days. 15 students each served 1 day of in-school suspension. 3 students each served 1 day of out-of-school suspension. And 1 student served 1 day of in-school suspension and 1 day of out-of-school suspension. In Berkeley, 1 student served 1 day of in-school suspension. So listen, suspensions, we never like to do it, but it's part of the growing process as well. I don't like to see these numbers this high. And I think the principals don't, I know the principals don't either. But when students do something wrong, it's imperative to not only remediate them with like counseling and other services, but there has to be a consequence. And there has to be a consequence in some sense. So they get used to, it's not just going to be, I'm getting talked to and then repeat behavior. So hopefully the goal is that this repeat behavior does not repeat. If it is repeat behavior, the suspensions go up with that student until it's a deterrent. Okay? A couple other things I'd like to talk about. Academic and athletic scholarships. The athletic scholarships are a total of $15,000 being awarded to students, so we thank all the donors for that. The academic scholarships, we are still finalizing, and we'll get you that report during this week. I would like to, congratulate Ms. Shana Ginley. She's currently our math supervisor. She's going to fill a maternity leave position at the middle school for an assistant principal. So we congratulate her. She got that based on merit. She's been loyal to the district. She's a bright young lady, and the principals love her. She's already worked in that school as a math supervisor, so it's going to be a great seamless fit. Very difficult to find middle school assistant principals, so we thank her for wanting to take on that challenge. I'd like to get the approval for the following coaches for the fall season. All the positions have been filled, thankfully, so we're ready to go. By approving them now, it lets them, do things during the summer as well and start reaching out to the student athletes, which is very important. I'd like to talk about the approval for Arbiter Sports as an LLC contract. So Arbiter Sports is basically like a scheduling platform that we use for athletics right now. So our NJIC dues pay for it for sports. And what it does is we put all our sports games in there, and parents can go on and see where the game is being played and home team and all that. We would like to pay a little extra for the district to combine that with our facilities. So that way, we are not double booking things. It can get very hard. These schools are used all the time. So we think by just a little bit of extra money, it will make it way more efficient for us. It'll be easier for parents to see and look on. It's like, okay, I can't reserve the gym this day because it's already booked for sports or whatever. It makes everything more transparent. It should make everything easier and more streamlined. And it's a nominal cost. I'd also like to seek the approval of Frontline Education with a McCrell International license. So we use McCrell, that's our observation instrument to evaluate teachers. That was adopted, I think, 12, 13 years ago. It's an approved instrument from the state. That will not change. What will change is we use McCrell Power School right now, and it costs about $10,000 just for McCrell Power School. McCrell Power School, what we use now, only allows for observations and PDPs. The issue with that is we also have MSGPs and SGOs that we have to plug into that and calculate a whole summative off of that. The poor principals and supervisors, right now, they manually take all the scores, the PDP, the observation scores, the SGO scores, the MSGP, and they hand calculate it to come up with a summative average. And they put it in an Excel spreadsheet, email it to my administrative assistant Geraldine, and she hand puts it into the state framework. Way too inefficient. So what this will allow, when we go to frontline, everything will be under one database. The observations, the SGOs, the PDPs, the MSGPs, and it will all calculate the summative average. So when it gets time to upload to the state, boop, it's a button, and it just uploads to the state. It's way more efficient. After the initial cost of setting it all up and getting the rubrics and everything, it's the same annual cost as what we are paying now. The other benefit is, right now we just have principals and teachers on it. We can develop our own rubrics for guidance counselors, nurses, so it's all nice under one platform. Like right now we have some people getting narratives. We just want everything consistent across the board. So I think it's a worthy endeavor to streamline things and make things more efficient so we can spend our time, doing other things that are more proactive instead of just inputting numbers, which technology allows us, more efficient ways to do so. So that's what I'm looking approval for. Upcoming, I'll talk about that. Some upcoming events. We do have the Black Poster Project, so I know, Mr. Woodham, you can speak to that better than I can, which is tomorrow, correct?
It is. So, thank you, Mr. Lasso. The Black Poster Project will be at the YMCA in Milford tomorrow, which is the former Ascension School gym. Black Poster Project was started by a woman named Dee Gillen, who 2 years ago, I believe, was named the Pascack Valley Person of the Year. It is a traveling display of posters with pictures of those who have been lost to overdose. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. My son is on a Black Poster. My son overdosed in 2017. It is an incredibly powerful and impactful display. It is poignant. And I like to tell people all the time that if you're having trouble talking to your kids about substance misuse and drugs, it's a great conversation starter. When you're there with the kid and you're walking around and your kid sees these posters, it opens up a natural way to explain that seeing the faces of all these different people from all sorts of walks of life, and how making poor decisions can end your child's life. So, thank you, Mr. Bloss.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate too, I've said this before, New Milford, the community in general, does a tremendous amount for the well-being of its people. Black Poster Project, and talking about addiction, right, the Alliance, we have the Domestic Violence Symposium, we have a Suicide Symposium coming up, and this is like county endeavors that anybody can come to. So I'm proud that New Milford leads those efforts. To end on a high note, Mr. Andolino, this is a sad but high note, Mr. Andolino, who has been teaching the district for 20 years, is also retiring, so I want to point that out under personnel. He's taught, I think, at all 3 buildings throughout his career. He used to, be the director of marching band. Currently, he is at Gibbs, and he has one of the hardest schedules, which might be contributing to his retirement, but he has one of the hardest schedules. He teaches general music, and then he also teaches band on top of that with multiple types of instruments, and then he does chorus as well. So, I started here with him actually, 2 decades ago, so I'm proud of him. He made it out, and, we are going to miss him. So, thank you, Mr. Andolino. And that is
That's it. Any questions for Mr. Dawson? Okay. Assistant Superintendent Report, Lorna Baxter.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a reminder that now that we return from spring break and we enter the final stretch, testing season is upon us. Access testing is now complete. That is the English proficiency assessment for our multilingual learners. And starting next week, we will begin NJSLA, the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, and AP testing will follow. So a busy few weeks as we start the close to the school year. So good breakfast and good night's sleep, and yeah, it'll be a busy few weeks coming. So, and that concludes my report.
Do you have any questions? Okay. Business Administrator Report, Stephanie Kuchar.
Good evening. So I recently submitted, I know when Bruce was here, he was speaking at length about the ROD grants. Unfortunately, that's still not wrapped up. I submitted a substantial completion and a final completion to the state for the ROD grant for the high school. I was supposed to have someone come out for a field inspection last week. They never showed up. I reached out to the state again today asking the status of that for our final payment because we're still waiting for over $500,000 to come back for a high school roof project. So they have everything, they have all the documents. So they say, every time they've said that, they come back and ask for more. It's a really difficult process to go through. But I think as soon as we get the field inspector out, we should be receiving that money. The preliminary budget was sent to the county office after the board approved that. That was approved on April 15th by the executive county superintendent. However, we had a special meeting because we were a district who was entitled to the tax levy incentive aid. So what that means is we're in a bit of a unique situation because typically, or historically in Milford, after the preliminary budget is submitted and approved by the executive county superintendent, the board has adopted that budget. This year, the board will be making changes to the preliminary budget if the state approves our application for the tax levy incentive aid. So we were originally planning to have our state of the district on April 30th. However, the timeline for the state was we had to submit something by April 28th. And the way the state typically operates is if that's the deadline, and even though we've already submitted what we need to submit, they wait for every single district in the state to do it before they act on it. April 30th is a very early date for a budget hearing, and so it's likely that our state of the district won't happen until May 7th. So once we get more information, we will let the board know, but based on the timeline, it's looking like it will probably be May 7th. And then in the board office right now, we're currently working on all of the renewals for the district for 25-26 and securing the pricing for that. A big change that we're doing in an effort to save money is our building and ground supplies, specifically custodial supplies. We've used various different vendors off the state contract, and this year we're going to use Ed Data, which we've never used because we've always had lower pricing with state contractors. However, once you get everything, the prices are really not, and so we're looking to use Ed Data, and so everything was submitted today, and so we're hoping that we're going to save money by getting the same products. So a lot of things that we're looking to do spending, we're trying to find efficient ways to save money. And we're wrapping up the 24-25 budget. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Stephanie? Paige?
So in the past, there's a deadline to do the budget, to get the presentation of the budget. We've never gone into May, so is the state. I understand why. Is the state going to hold that against us, or will that be something that will be an exception?
So we've always done it very early. The earliest date, I believe, on the state election calendar is April 24th, and the latest day is May 7th.
Okay.
So that's why, and we happen to have a board meeting on May 7th.
Okay, perfect.
If we didn't have that board meeting, I don't really know.
We'd be in trouble.
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
The county superintendent actually emailed us and said, hey, it looks good, but we need approval from the state. And he was like, push it as close to May 7th as you can. So Stephanie, being smart, and emailed the county superintendent, explained like, hey, we are supposed to be going April 30th. Can we push it to the 7th? And he was like, yes.
Yeah, because when you actually submit, just so you guys know, in the state software, you have to say when your public hearing is.
Right.
And so the county approved our budget with the hearing on April 30th. And so we do have it in writing from them that we can push it if we don't have that approval. Because part of the tax levy incentive aid requirement was that you have to have all documentation on hand before you hold a public hearing.
Got it.
So it kind of ties our hands.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. You guys received correspondence for the Senior Night Awards. Is there any other correspondence?
That is all for this evening.
Oh, I passed over. Any liaison board committee reports? No? Okay, so agenda items for discussion. Any questions, review of board action? No? Any questions regarding review of educational programs and curriculum? Personnel recommendations? Finance, oh, Tony?
In personnel recommendations, in looking at our preview of the attachments, P2425-110 is approval of part-time building and grounds, and then 2425-119 is approval of custodial maintenance. They appear to be the same attachment. Is that?
That's, I noticed that too.
Am I not seeing a different, a discerning point there, or?
Can you open both?
They appear to be the same attachment.
Yep.
I don't have that. Can I get back to you on that?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Any questions regarding finance and facilities? Any questions regarding athletics and co-curricular? Any old business? Any new business? Okay, open to the public as outlined in the Milford Board of Education bylaw 0167. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. Let's take a motion. Stephanie, seconded by Joe. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anyone have anything, anyone from the public? Please state your name and town, please.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Rosenberg. I'm an attorney with the firm of Winnie Banton, Israeli and Khan. I'm sorry I've been violating your chain of command. I would have spoken at the beginning, but you had your REACH presentation. So this has to do with personnel. I represent a custodian here in the district. Her name is Inez Alvarez, and she's been with the district for 7 years. She was riced. She received her rice notice for the meeting this evening. She waived her rights to have it in private, and she wanted it to be in public. Now, I am her attorney. All I would say in her behalf is that one of the proposals, as we understand it, is that she's being proposed to be demoted from full-time to part-time custodian. She's a custodian in the middle school. She has received exemplary reviews as recently as March. I understand that you are looking for ways to save money. I laud you on going out for new custodial supplies. I read your mission statement, and I find it fascinating. The district embraces family, faculty, community as active partners in a unified effort to develop students into self-directed, self-confident adults in their journeys to become the next generation of entrepreneurs, builders, artists, designers, inventors, scientists, educators, caregivers, prosecutors, workers, and leaders. I would just note that Ms. Alvarez, my client, is the only female custodian here in the District of New Milford. The only one. And I would proffer to all of you that before you demote her, and demote her position from full-time custodian position to part-time custodian position, you embrace those words that are at your mission statement and think very carefully about them. And the message it sends, that her position is going to be demoted when she is the only female custodian in the district. Your district is almost 50% girls. And I would basically submit to all of you that by basically demoting my client from full-time custodial position to part-time custodial position, you are sending the wrong message. And I would ask and proffer that you reconsider her demotion from full-time to part-time status. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Please state your name and town.
I'm Kareem in Milford. I've been working with the business administrator on a B60 application concerning for aid in lieu of busing. The application was denied on the grounds that I live less than 12 miles, which is 2 miles from the private school that I send my children to. I would just like your assistance in clarifying that there's some nuance to the measurement threshold. So just arriving at this building tonight, I parked on Madison Avenue. There was an entrance there. I couldn't use it. I had to walk around and come to the main public entrance. Similar to my children's school, the entrance that was used for measurement is not the main public entrance that's required according to the law. It's an entrance for authorized vehicles and personnel only. If my children were not to receive this aid and they would be required to either walk or bike to the school, they would have to use the school's main public entrance consistent with the law, which at that point I would be in excess of the 2 miles minimum threshold required to be approved for this aid. I think the measurement to the entrance that was used puts me at 1.89 miles from the school, from my house to the school. But I brought with me today just a little measurement showing a wheel line from the entrance where I was measured to the entrance width that they would have to use, which is another 0.11 miles, putting me pretty much at 2 miles. I don't know if it's 2 miles in a foot or 1.99 miles, just for under the minimum threshold. But I think it's fairly close, and I don't know if in this case the time goes to the runner. Here's an FAQ from the State Department of Education's website that says the measurement is made by the shortest distance along public roadways or walkways, sidewalks, between the entrance to the student's home, closest to the roadway or walkway, to the nearest public entrance of the school building. So just request that the business administrator utilizes the actual public entrance and not an entrance that's authorized for teachers or authorized vehicles. I'm here to answer any questions anyone may have about the application. I appreciate your time very much for considering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Do you want to submit that, I'm sorry, do you want to submit that for them to review those papers?
I would love to. But
Okay, I'll take them.
Councilman, do you want to say anything?
Sure.
Wait. Okay.
She's still going to type. You can go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking that you're recording with her. Yeah. I know.
Okay. Yep, no problem, thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. It's great to see everyone, as always, tonight. An update on an important event that we recently had that didn't get a lot of publicity around town. We recently, as recently as last week, in fact, welcomed Assemblywoman Chris Tully, Assemblywoman Lisa Swain, and Congressman Gottheimer's office and other officials from around Bergen County and the state to our monthly Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee meeting at Borough Hall. And the purpose of that meeting was to ask questions and seek reassurance with respect to a concern that many residents have who live in our flood zone. That concern is that with threatened cuts to FEMA, they may lose important federal grants that they rely upon, whether to raise their homes or to take other mitigation steps to help mitigate the effects of flooding. I'm happy to report that despite the extremely negative reason and bad reason that we had to have this meeting, that we did get reassurance that all of our representatives from the county all the way up to the state are on our side and have our backs in New Milford to do what they can to the extent possible to preserve and protect those grants and that funding and try to make sure that those who live in our flood zones continue to have access to the resources that they've grown to rely upon. If anyone after the meeting or at any other time has any question or any concern in particular about what was discussed at that meeting or this particular issue, I encourage anyone who'd like to please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to provide more information and answer any questions. Looking ahead to more positive things, you heard about, obviously, this great event we're having tomorrow, the Black Poster Project, and it's personal to me, and I know that you're very humble, but Mr. Lunan, thank you for your leadership and your passion and your heart. You're really an inspiration because you not only work as hard as you do to put together the Black Poster Project and help bring it here to New Milford, but you dedicate yourself all year with community outreach initiatives to try to help those who are battling addiction and to help us remember those we've lost. So on a personal note, Mr. Lunan, thank you. You're an inspiration. Thank you for your leadership. This Saturday is going to be a very busy day here in New Milford. At 8 o'clock in the morning is Arbor Day at our DPW, which of course is located behind Kennedy Field. That again is at 8 a.m. at DPW. Later at 10:30, there'll be an antique appraisal show at the New Milford Public Library. That starts at 10:30. And then later at 11 at the New Milford YMCA, we'll begin Healthy Kids Day, which will run from 11 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. And then on Sunday morning at 8, for those who are early risers, the Elks will be having their pancake breakfast. So I encourage as many of you as possible to come, attend, and help spread awareness that we have all these events. It's a good time to be a resident. And Mr. Galassa, I wanted to echo your sentiment earlier tonight, which I couldn't agree with you more, that it feels special to be part of a community and a New Milford family that comes together to not only help residents and families in our own communities and in our town, but at least I speak for myself when I say I'm humbled that our community has become a model for other communities, not only around Bergen County, but around the state. I'm happy that we're all part of setting the bar as high as we set it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, I seek a motion to close to the public. Nicole, seconded by Tony. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any board member requests for additional information?
I wanted to just ask, how do you, I mean, like I know I touched on this like a few meetings ago, but you know, just staying up to date on committee reports. I don't know if anybody's had any meetings. I just feel like, you know, the last one was the athletics and it was shared out, but there hasn't really been any. And I just think it's important that whether you're a chair or on it, that we're making time to schedule those committee meetings, because I know there's certain ones that can't be shared. I understand that, but we haven't really heard or from any of the other ones.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So we're going to close. Okay. Closed session. It is hereby moved that the Board of Education adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL, for the purpose of discussion and consideration of matters pertaining to the following subject: personnel matters. The minutes of the executive session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I seek a motion to go into close. Joe, seconded by Tony. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we will not be taking action when we come back. So thank you for attending tonight. Thank you.